All right, we got some interesting statistics about manga sales in Japan. On February 25th, the National Publishing Association and the Institute of Publishing Science put a little graph that shows the increase of the comics market in 2021. And compared to 2020, both the paper and electronic markets, so digital sales, increased by 10.3%. And the year annual total was over 675 billion yen. They say it's reaching a record high for the third consecutive year of rapid growth. In fact, the entire market has increased in the last 3-4 years by 40% increase. Darfox and Morgana are looking at this little graph here, but the yellow represents print sales of manga, the green represents print sales of manga magazines, and the purple is digital sales. As you can see, like, manga magazines, the print ones, have been selling less and less, and a giant chunk has been going into digital sales. It's very interesting. Yeah, the purple.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. I mean, I know that digital is doing better here in the West than it had been, but it's not eclipsing print sales by any stretch of the imagination. I don't think so anyway. Not in manga. I don't know about other publishing, other books.
I mean, the interesting thing to note here is you see, like, when it was just manga magazines and then manga comics in print, it was getting smaller and smaller starting in 2002, leading into what year is that? I gotta squint my eyes. 2013?
Yeah, 2014. It looks like there's some digital sales starting.
That helps, like, increase the amount, and it looks a little stagnant. But in the last 3 years, big jump in sales.
Yeah, I wonder. Does this correlate to the the creation of certain platforms that are, it's easier to purchase digital comics? What are the factors here? Is there more concern about, conserving space? Is it a cost thing because digital books tend to cost less? I'm fascinated by I want to know the reasons. And part of it is Japan has always been pretty, and by always I mean since World War II, has been pretty interested in technology, and I think that's part of it. There's just a more of a push for doing things in digitally or with technology. Do
you know what it is 3 years ago? 2019?
Well,
COVID.
Yeah, definitely that.
When did Bookwalker start? Because I feel like Bookwalker is like a pretty big deal.
Let's check the internet.
Beep boop boop.
It was launched in the site was founded in 2005, but the actual Bookwalker website was launched in 2010.
Okay.
A while ago.
It's like over 10 years old.
I assume like this increase is like a combination of everything that we've mentioned, and maybe even like pertaining to like Japan finally cracking down on like some like piracy measures. There's some recent news about like all the major publishers are kind of getting into like a lawsuit with Cloudflare about hosting like illegal stuff, so I'm sure that is also a factor as well. The interesting thing to note here though is the print numbers haven't gone down that much. What went down a lot is the print magazine numbers. They're like tiny now.
I wonder if like a lot of the digital sales are those digital magazine sales, digital Shonen Jump, stuff like that. Digital subscriptions.
I know with Kodansha, you can sign up with a subscription to their Comic Days app, and that gives you access to just read like all the magazines as they come out digitally.
But then the question is, like, that's a one-time payment, right? Like, that's a subscription. So if that's not paying for individual volumes, but still the sales are really big. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But then also people aren't buying the print editions, right? Which explains why that number is going down a lot. So it's pretty fascinating to examine and look at.
I'm surprised there are still print magazines, manga magazines at all, honestly.
I mean, they're gonna live and die by that, but obviously the trend is changing. You can see like the giant increase of like the digital sales.
Yeah.
But it's good because it was stagnant and it was dying for like many years since like 2000 you know, that those bars are getting smaller and smaller until like the digital sales help boost it. And a lot of people, like holdouts like Naoki Urasawa, are going digital, so it's just gonna keep growing in that direction, I feel.
They all come crawling back to digital. Oh yes.
I mean, print books are nice, but you know,
Yeah.
they take space and you know, the convenience of digital, and they are getting better about making, you know, nicer digital editions. Like that's why
Yeah.
a lot of manga artists were holding out. They're like, I don't like how you didn't line up my pages, you know, this looks wrong. This is like really bad mora from like how you scan like my original art.
Yeah, I will always own physical books. I love physical books, but it is very convenient to be able to read things digitally. It's something we do with the podcast a lot. And it's very easy for me to be sitting down, staring at my tablet, thinking, okay, what am I going to do now? Oh, I think I'll read. You know, I'll
Yeah.
read some, you know. And I do use like my library app to borrow ebooks and things too. So like I think it's a really great thing. There was a long time where I was like, no, digital is the enemy. But I was being stupid. It's very convenient, and whatever it takes to get people to read and buy their manga, I think is a good thing. As long as we are making the progress so that creators are happy with their work when it looks, you know, what it looks like and how it's conveyed digitally as well.
Digital is going to lead to more and more of titles being released in the West too.
Yes, I think you're right.
Yeah, and I think like Morgana said, like we as enthusiasts, we love print, and maybe that might be why the tankobon sales have been kind of steady, because maybe that's kind of just been propped up by like the hardcore fans, I guess you could say. And
I
then
mean-
kind of like the more, you know, more mainstream, more breezy, they'll look at the magazines, and now they can look at like digital, which is easier for them.
And I think, I mean, this is I can only speak to what it's like in the West, but I think a lot of manga fans and anime fans in the West are collectors. You know, it's much more of kind of a fact of life in Japan. You know, the magazines exist, you buy them or you don't. But in the West, it's very much like a status thing, and owning as much merch and as, you know, things. You know, you're a collector. I'm a collector. I collect books. I collect manga. So I do think that's part of the appeal of the print is to have your favorite stuff collected as part of your little hoard.
Well, the mainstream appeal of like manga and anime has been getting bigger and bigger. So Joe One Piece, I'm sure he's okay looking at Manga Pookie get his new chapters for whatever, but yeah.
Until Cloudflare like flares up and just burns up completely.
I'm really interested to see how that is going to play out, like if that is actually going to happen or not. But we'll see. We will see for that news as well. But yeah, in general, like manga industry was like people are saying, oh man, manga industry is dying, but not in the past 3 years. It's seeing a nice growth, thank goodness. So more manga, more money means more manga, means more Western releases for us. So
Yes,
this is good news.